Hey everybody, I'm so glad that you joined us yesterday for our story time, and today we're gonna bring another story. And I have on a funny shirt. So this morning we were sitting there eating breakfast and Nicholas asked, "When are we going back to school, Mom?" And I said, "Not today." So not today. So I wore my sweatshirt that says "Not today, kids," because today we're not going back, but we are coming to you live to read you a story. And who do I have with us? Who are you?
Nick.
And?
Funny David.
So I've got Nicholas and Funny David, and we're going to read a story that Nick brought home from school. It's called How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And we're going to read that to you today. I know it sounds so funny.
And it's by Dr. Seuss.
The author is Dr. Seuss. He is also the illustrator. So we're going to read that. So if you have already read or listened to this story before, give me a thumbs up. Have you guys listened or read to this or watched the movie? Yes? Okay. So I'm going to have the boys go sit over there on the floor while I read so that everyone can see the pages. All right, let me move this out of the picture. All right, so How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
By Dr. Seuss.
By Dr. Seuss. So every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. Do you hear two words that rhyme? What's a word that rhymes with reason?
Heathen.
Heathen? How about season?
Yes.
Yeah, reason and season rhyme. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps his shoes were too tight.
Is it rhyme?
Yeah, right and tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small.
Is there rhyme?
They're small and all. But whatever their reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the woos, sorry. Staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming, for tomorrow he knew. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then oh, the noise, noise, noise. That's the one thing he hated is the noise, noise, noise. Yep.
That's what I hated.
Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast. They'd feast and they'd feast and they'd feast, feast, feast. They would feast on the Who pudding and the rare Who roast beet, which was something the Grinch that could not stand in the least. Look at them eating. Look, they're walking in. They're waiting for the food. They're waiting for the feast as everyone's delivering it. Yes. Good eye, Nick. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing, and they'd sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I'd put up with it now. I must stop the Christmas from coming. But how? Look at this. Hey, be careful. Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed at his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled, what a great Grinchy trick. With his coat and his hat, I look like Saint Nick.
Hey, you take my brother's day.
All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer reindeer are scarce, there was no one to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch?
No.
Please stop.
He made
I just don't want it's keep rocking. No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, and he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head.
whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
All right. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, giddy up! And the sleigh started down towards the home of the Who's lay a snooze in their town. What does a snooze mean?
I'm just sleeping.
They are sleeping. All their windows were dark, quite snow filled the air. Yeah, you see the picture? All the Who's down were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Okay, let's look at this picture. They're all sleeping over there. Here he comes down the chimney. Does look pretty, huh? Then he slid down the chimney at a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck out his head from the fireplace, flew. Where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Look at him grabbing them stockings. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Top guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, and then Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then a slunk to the icebox, he took the Who's feast. He took the Who's pudding, and he took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash.
What's who hash?
Who hash? That's like a hash brown.
Oh.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, because it's kind of...
What's an icebox, guys? Nicholas, what's an icebox?
It's like it's like an ice's little home.
Oh, it's like a freezer. Yeah. All right, we're on to the next one.
I have one.
Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. So he has everything else up there. Now he's doing the tree. Honey, you're sitting on that. And the Grinch grabbed the tree as he started to shove. When he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove, he turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, Cindy Lou Who, who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by his tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking all of our Christmas tree? Why? How do you think Cindy is feeling? How do you think she's feeling, guys?
Frustrated.
Frustrated? How do you think she's feeling, Nick?
Like, why is he doing that?
Oh, is she thinking, why is she doing this? But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up of a lie, and he thought of it quick. Why, my sweet little tot, that fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here. Oh, that wasn't nice, was it? And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney, and he stuffed that tree up.
Stuff.
Yep, he stuffed it. There it goes, up the tree. And the last thing he took was a log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but books and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Move your feet, please. You're shaking the camera. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, still there with me? Then he did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, and all the Who's still abed, and all the Who's still in a snooze, when he packed up his sled and packed it up their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings and the trappings. There he's taking it. Look up the hill. Uh-oh, you guys. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh, said the Who to the Who's. He was Grinchly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry. Boo-hoo. That's a noise, the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow, and it started in low, and then it started to grow. Look, he's listening. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Yeah, that means he was really surprised. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, and it came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. Do you agree? Do you agree that Christmas doesn't come just from a store, that it's more than that? I know Christmas was just 3 months ago, but, you know, that's a big deal, that Christmas is not about, you know, what Santa brings us under and gives gifts under the trees. It's about coming together. It's about community, and especially this. It is being about. It's about being nice to others, absolutely. But you know, in this time, hold on. In this time that we are living in, it's all about community and what we can do for others. So please, you know, this story may be about Christmas, but it's also about doing good to others, and you know, them as a community and us as a community, we can really come together and, you know, support one another. So let's keep reading. And what happened then? Well, the Whoville, they say, that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. He himself, the Grinch, carved the roast feast.
The end.
The end. So friends, today as you're listening, think of, oh please. Today as you're thinking, you can come up here now.
Bye.
Okay, hold on, I'm not done talking. So today as you today, as you go about your day and the story that we read today and reading the different books in your I Can Read bag, I want you to remember that we may not be together, but I'm thinking and praying for you daily, and I want you to know if there's anything that I can do or my family can do to help you or the North Baltimore Schools can do to help you, please reach out. We're here for you. We're in this together, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. So we'll see ya. Bye.
Don't forget, we're reading a story tomorrow.
Don't forget, we'll be reading another story tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye, 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 bye.